Hello and welcome to the DebtCircle Sundown Brief for Monday, 13th July 2026. I'm Leela, bringing you today's complete update from the Indian debt markets. Let's begin with the top 5 highest yield listed corporate bond transactions. Monado Financial Services Private Limited recorded the highest yield of 17% with a trade value of 58.00 lakh rupees. Akara Capital Advisors Private Limited recorded a yield of 16.5489% with a trade value of 3.00 lakh rupees. Another bond from Akara Capital Advisors Private Limited recorded a yield of 15.80% with a trade value of 100.00 lakh rupees. Monado Financial Services Private Limited also recorded a yield of 15.70% with a trade value of 5.00 lakh rupees. Kirtana Finserv Limited recorded a yield of 15.47% with a trade value of 6.70 lakh rupees. Moving to the top 5 highest yield unlisted corporate bond transactions. FDPL Finance Private Limited recorded a yield of 16.00% with a trade value of 9.00 lakh rupees. Apex Homes Private Limited recorded a yield of 14.00% with a trade value of 4,192.07 lakh rupees. Refined Finance Private Limited recorded a yield of 12.9694% with a trade value of 500.00 lakh rupees. Anand Rathi Global Finance Limited recorded a yield of 9.00% with a trade value of 1,200.00 lakh rupees. Another bond from Anand Rathi Global Finance Limited recorded a yield of 9.00% with a trade value of 4,244.00 lakh rupees. Now, let's look at mutual fund debt transactions. Gross purchases stood at 16,114.70 crore rupees. Gross sales were 26,481.28 crore rupees. Net investments stood at negative 10,366.58 crore rupees. Month-to-date net investment for July was 1,401.270 crore rupees. Moving on to foreign portfolio investor debt market investments. Under the general limit, gross purchases were 726.38 crore rupees. Under the voluntary retention route or VRR, gross purchases were 21.24 crore rupees. Under the fully accessible route or FAR, gross purchases were 1,754.44 crore rupees. Gross sales under the general limit were 426.77 crore rupees. Gross sales under VRR were 447.99 crore rupees. Gross sales under FAR were 951.24 crore rupees. Net investment under the general limit stood at 299.61 crore rupees. Net investment under VRR stood at negative 426.75 crore rupees. Net investment under FAR stood at 803.20 crore rupees. For July, month-to-date net investment under the general limit was 3,527.77 crore rupees. Under VRR, it stood at negative 1,710.30 crore rupees. Under FAR, month-to-date net investment stood at 7,427.77 crore rupees. For the calendar year 2026, year-to-date net investment under the general limit was 30,753 crore rupees. Under VRR, it stood at negative 1,416 crore rupees. Under FAR, year-to-date net investment stood at 43,693 crore rupees. Here are today's money market rates. Call rate was 5.30%. Tri-party repo stood at 5.17%. Basket repo was 5.30%. Special repo stood at 5.15%. Now for the India government bond yield curve. The 1-year government bond yield was 5.78%. The 3-year yield was 6.19%. The 5-year yield was 6.39%. The 7-year yield was 6.57%. The 9-year yield was 6.72%. The 10-year yield was 6.72%. The 15-year yield was 6.95%. The 30-year yield was 7.33%. Moving to Treasury bill yields and auction cutoffs. The 91-day Treasury bill yield was 5.30%. The 182-day Treasury bill yield was 5.49%. The 364-day Treasury bill yield was 5.66%. Now, the liquidity indicators. Net liquidity injected stood at negative 1,71,544 crore rupees. Standing deposit facility, or SDF, stood at 1,72,284 crore rupees. Marginal standing facility, or MSF, stood at 740 crore rupees. Moving to MIBOR OIS rates. The 1-year rate stood at 5.82%. The 2-year rate stood at 5.97%. The 3-year rate stood at 6.06%. The 5-year rate stood at 6.22%. Now for the modified MIFOR rates. The 2-year rate was 6.87%. The 3-year rate was 6.89%. The 4-year rate was 0.00%. The 5-year rate was 7.06%. Let's look at today's currency rates. The US dollar traded at 95.67 rupees compared with the previous level of 95.37 rupees. The euro traded at 109.32 rupees compared with 108.87 rupees previously. The British pound traded at 128.13 rupees compared with 127.81 rupees previously. The Japanese yen traded at 0.59 rupees, unchanged from the previous level of 0.59 rupees. The Chinese yuan traded at 14.11 rupees compared with 14.07 rupees previously. Now for commodities and market indices. 24-karat gold with 99.9% purity was priced at 14,291 rupees per 10 grams compared with the previous price of 14,433 rupees. Silver was priced at 2,350 rupees per 10 grams, unchanged from the previous price of 2,350 rupees. Crude oil traded at $78.91 US compared with $75.86 US previously. The Sensex closed at 77,616.40 compared with the previous close of 77,569.39. The Nifty closed at 24,211.00 compared with the previous close of 24,206.90. Finally, here are today's India primary corporate bond issuances. Small Industries Development Bank of India issued 8,000 crore rupees of corporate bonds with a tenure of 41 months and a coupon of 7.29%. The issue was rated AAA by Care Ratings Limited and CRISIL Ratings Limited. Poonawalla FinCorp Limited issued 200 crore rupees of corporate bonds with a tenure of 118 months and a coupon of 8.43%. Shri Ram Finance Corporation Private Limited issued 75 crore rupees of corporate bonds with a tenure of 26 months and a coupon of 9.90%. The issue was rated A by Curated Ratings and Research Limited. Vedika Credit Capital Limited issued 20 crore rupees of corporate bonds with a tenure of 65 months and a coupon of 12.50%. IFL Finance Limited issued 40 crore rupees of corporate bonds with a tenure of 24 months and a coupon of 11.80%. That concludes today's DebtCircle Sundown brief for 13th July 2026. Thank you for watching. Stay informed with DebtCircle for the latest developments in India's debt markets. Have a great evening.